Back with another video today, another reaction video. I'm gonna have some monkey content coming on, coming up. I said coming up. But yeah, we got Tyler Oliveira again. Y'all know the video. I reacted to a couple of videos already. But we got I investigated the country where slavery is still legal. Man, oh motherfucking man, let's get into it.
This is the United States of America, where slavery is still legal under the 13th Amendment if you've been convicted of a crime.
You can be legally enslaved. If it looks like slavery, it smells like slavery, it sounds like slavery, it's slavery.
Turns out, when Abraham Lincoln abolished slavery by ratifying the 13th Amendment in 1865, they left in one little exception: convicted criminals.
Locked up.
They're gonna slave the to ass.
Like everyone's slave, not just black people.
I didn't even know that. Did y'all know that? I didn't know that. I did not know that. Tell me if y'all knew that.
Solitary confinement, loss of privileges like visitation, phone calls, commissary access, recreation time, family visits, good time credits, and access to books, hygiene products, and snacks. And the prisoners that do make small amounts of money can have up to 80% of their earnings deducted for various prison-related expenses before they see any of it, while 7 states pay them nothing. So who benefits off of their labor? And does America have financial upside in locking more and more Americans in prison to maintain a steady supply of state-owned slaves? More importantly, did slavery ever end in America, or did it just rebrand itself to something more socially acceptable?
Some may not know is almost half of those men and women fighting fires are convicted felons.
And this. Clear.
But it's not money these inmates are working for. It's their future freedom.
Before I speak up with ex-prisoners who are locked up in Texas, work in the deadly hot fields for their master, Uncle Sam, I went to one of the most incarcerated cities in America to see if they knew that slavery is still legal in America.
Crazy.
You know it's still legal to enslave someone if they commit a crime in the United States of America.
You know what? I think we're all slaves.
Did you know about that exception?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, I do know that.
Did not know that.
The way the government is going, yeah, I would believe it, yeah.
Does that come as a surprise?
Yes.
Yeah, that surprised me a bit.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
No, I'm not surprised.
That is disturbing.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy, right? No one really thinks about it.
That's weird.
Do you support slavery?
No comment, buddy.
Fair. Have a great day.
Here in 2025, you know, you shouldn't be enslaved. Some bullshit.
Hell no.
Hell no.
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 Shouldn't even be a thought in mind, ever.
I'm not saying they should, but it will happen. And if it do, and people don't fight back, that's on them. Do you think slavery ever ended in America?
No, it's just transformed. It's never changed. It's always been that way.
If you know the process of how indentured servitude went and then how it formed slavery, you'd understand that this is what's going on now. Just not just black people anymore. So like everyone's slave, not just black people, not just people of color, it's everyone now.
I kind of understand it, but I kind of don't. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, bro, you're going to have to work for your money. And a lot of people want to sit there and turn the table to, oh, well, we got all these people working for one guy, or all these people working for, you know, this, that. And it's like, yeah, in a way, it's kind of slavery, but at the same time, it's not. Because when you initially heard slavery, when slavery first came to be a thing, there was nothing good about it. Humans were getting sold off to other humans and being tortured, being, sexually assaulted and all this other stuff. And now people are trying to compare working jobs where you get paid and you got breaks and you get lunch and you get benefits and you get all this other stuff to slavery, when it's kind of, I get it, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's nowhere near the caliber of the slavery that these motherfuckers is talking about
now, and everyone's starting to feel it.
I think that should be ratified. Should be changed for sure.
No, it shouldn't be legal to enslave somebody if they commit a crime.
Is there any crime that would warrant whiplashing in the fields, like plantation style?
No, absolutely not.
No matter the crime?
No matter.
Even like a child rapist?
Well,
No one.
Murder?
No one.
This is getting way heavy.
Murder?
Yeah, I mean, those guys, I don't know.
Maybe f*** them?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Even if you're a heinous criminal who commits a terrible crime?
No, there's no slaves. Shouldn't be any slaves.
I mean, I think all crimes are different levels. I mean, you're getting dealt with in there by other inmates. Justice happened on its own. Whipping like that. We're going back 100 years or right there.
The crime
and the time should matter.
No forced labor?
No.
And the severity of their crime should matter and how much time they get. Like I said, our legal system is jacked up. People are getting more time than they deserve for small things that are like as much as a gram of weed.
Where I draw the line is that if there's corporations making money on it, like not employing actual people and just using the inmates, then I see a problem.
And then they can't keep the job once they get released from prison due to the felony status oftentimes.
Yeah, it's not good.
I feel like the federal prison system is just like recycling black men specifically. Due to like the laws that are being passed, it's hard to make change.
And see, she need to be canceled. I hate motherfuckers that sit here and just try to, oh, black this, black that, black this. Motherfucker, it like, bro, shut the fuck up. Damn, everybody always try to make shit about race. Shut the fuck up. Black bitch. Fuck.
Oligarchy that holds the power is making it harder for us to reach the change.
We realize the 13th and 14th Amendment created two citizenships within the United States. Freed the slaves, that's one citizenship. You're born a United States citizen. You're not under the rule of the United States government that exists today. It is a corporation.
And we're employees to this corporation or what?
You are slavery to that corporation.
Gray,
That's why
yellow?
they have an income tax. You're a slave under that.
Let's make sure that we're not putting ourselves in position to become slaves. But when you have predators out there, it's not a choice. The gazelle doesn't choose to get eaten by the lion.
You locked up? We're gonna slave the shit out you.
Do you know anyone who's gotten a felony?
One of my best friends, but he trying to shake back, you know, and I'm supporting him for that.
Not immediate family, but I know somebody who has people who got like long sentences for very, very minimal things.
How has that affected their life?
Forever.
Forever?
Forever. Go to jail, that's a wrap.
After talking to the people of New Orleans, I headed over to Gatesville, Texas, home to 5 out of the 9 women's prisons and jails in Texas, to meet up with Marcy Simmons, who spent 10 years working the fields out here after stealing $300,000 from her employer. As I was getting B-roll of one of these women's prisons before the interview, a perfect example of the overcriminalization of Americans unfolded before my very eyes.
No, sir, this is private property. You're on state property right now.
This is...
No, sir, you
state
are
property?
on private property of the state of Texas.
Man, they try to get a rise out of you.
No,
we just need to get...
we're genuine confusion. As I filmed the outside of a prison funded by the tax dollars of Americans in a public parking lot, filming that which was in plain view, I quickly learned as to how little we really know about what goes on inside the prison walls. So we're trying to get some B-roll on the outside of the prison. Are we within our legal First Amendment rights to film on the outside of the prison?
State property is part of public property.
No. The public property is over there behind that stop sign.
State property is still part of public property as long as it's publicly accessible land.
Yes, sir. Can you 25 me at Valley? I have 2 guys that are refusing to leave.
That's not what's happening.
Well, we're not refusing to. We're trying to get some clarity on the actual line itself.
We're not going to argue.
This is constitutionally protected ability to film on the exterior of the prison, right?
Y'all have the right to, to record and all that.
Yeah.
But not on state property on the other side of that stop sign.
That's unconstitutional.
State property is
Okay,
still
what
Yeah.
business do y'all have on this state property?
First Amendment, expression, journalism.
Do y'all have an appointment?
No, we don't have an appointment, but we're not trying to come on the inside of the premises. We're on the outside, no?
'Cause y'all too close to the gate. I got inmates here. We don't know who y'all are.
We're not trying to get a rise out of anyone. We prefer if you're out of the shop.
No. We're not gonna be doing that, man. Hey.
Well, once again, we're...
Show them the privacy, man. Show them respect, man.
What?
You don't know
What are you
what
talking-
they've been through.
That's not-
What's going on?
That's not the point.
That's my whole thing.
You're misunderstanding the whole point. We're trying to get some B-roll on the outside of the prison. Officer Cruz here, I guess, is setting the example. That's another thing right there, bro. There's a lot of officers in the United States of America, a lot of officers, a lot of public law enforcement, not just police officers, security guards, people of the law that don't know anything about the law. They can't name you 5 penal codes. They can't name you the first 5 amendments. They can't name you all parts to the First Amendment. All the freedom. They can't name it's certain shit that they can't even name you, bro. And those people don't need to be in. They don't need to have the role that they have, bro. Like it's certain shit I feel like they should do, bro. Like requirements that they should have to go by, like, and they can't. Like they just can't. Like, I don't know. I don't get it, bro. I don't get it.
example for the lack of transparency and the ability for any journalists to gain access and understand what's even happening inside here. Yes.
You cannot be on the premises filming. You don't have authorization. So I'm going to...
It's public property, no?
Sir, I'm going to have to ask y'all to leave. You can't be here filming, okay?
So what we're trying to understand is if you're just making this up or if we're actually in violation of some Texas Penal Code.
I'm not going to answer your rules.
My rules?
Questions, your questions. I'm just telling you y'all need to leave, okay? Sir, please put your phone down.
I would suggest you don't touch my property.
I'm not touching you, man. You don't have authorization to be recorded.
They're sitting on the floor.
They have seats in the prison truck or they're being shipped like cattle. So, how y'all doing? Hey, we're trying to get some B-roll of the facility here. From our understanding, this is state property and it's constitutionally protected.
You are in violation. And if they ask you to leave, you need to leave. I need your license and your driver's license.
Okay, yes, sir.
As far as secure area, it would be a question of publicly accessible.
I need your driver's license and I need it now, please. This is a penitentiary that houses very violent criminals. We have killers, rapists, murderers. We have everything in here.
Sure.
And they have family members in the world that will come out here and play the same card. And when we have people here, we don't know who you are.
I see. Okay.
So why would you come here to mess with these people?
We're not here to mess with anyone, though. That's
exactly what's happening. Disrupting their operations.
So we are in violation of Texas Penal Code? Is that what you're saying? So are we violating Texas Penal Code?
What I want you to do is get in your car and leave.
All I'm asking is, are we in violation of Texas Penal Code?
One more time for you to get in your car and leave.
I'm confused. We saw the prisoners, a bunch of convicted felons in a
Just
van.
be abusing they right, bro.
You just experienced the wrath of a small Texas town. Big hat, no cattle. Quite literally. Zero transparency. The sheriff of the town himself showed up within 5 minutes and big dogged us. But we have 5 cop cars coming, bruh.
The same people that are elected to protect the Constitution and to uphold the Constitution and serve the public are utilizing that against you.
My guess is they're not supposed to be shuttling prisoners in and out of that freely without chains and all that. It was a publicly accessible parking lot. There's no gates. There's no signs. Just drive up there 50 feet away. I bet you a lot of things can go missing or a lot of abuses can go unnoticed out here in these small towns. After nearly getting arrested myself for filming these prison walls in plain view, to understand what really goes on inside of them, let me introduce you to someone who lived there. I'm here with Marcy, formerly incarcerated for how many years?
I was locked up for 10 years here in Gatesville for a theft charge.
I also want you to meet George.
I went to prison 3 different times, and I was an addict, and I didn't have the money. And I would target fast food joints, and I would wait till they closed, and then I would throw down on whoever was taking the trash out, and I'd walk them back inside, and more often than not, they had the safe open, and they would give me the money, and I'd leave. Yes, I did 27 total. I was an addict. I got out of the Army at right at 19. In South Texas at a dance to go see a girlfriend. I leave the dance, I've been drinking. I get pulled over, so I get a little mouthy with the cops. He didn't like it, he took me to a jail. He puts me in a tank of men who'd been convicted and were awaiting transfer to prison. And I found out later he told them to take care of it. I was beaten. I was raped pretty well all night. Kicked out the next morning and said go home.
So you're beaten and raped?
Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
And where are we right now?
We are in one of the fields, and I think that there's actually, this was potatoes here that I used to work at. I worked out here in the fields just about my entire incarceration.
10 years straight, how many hours a day did you work and how much were you paid per hour?
So in Texas, incarcerated folks are paid $0 an hour.
And are you forced to work in the fields?
Yeah, you absolutely have to work. I'm not really against people working, but I'm against people doing kind of needless work. Yeah, day one you get here and they assign you a job, and the next morning you get up and go to work. So day 2 in Big Girl Prison right here on the Dr. Lane Murray unit, I was out in the fields. And so what that looks like is you're strip searched before going to work. They'll say like 3 hoe, because side note, it's called the hoe squad. Yeah, the hoe.
In the dirt or you're a hoe?
Well, I'm sure they mean hoe in the dirt, but of course it was used derogatory, like hoes line up, hoes get over here. It was really degrading.
So it's dehumanizing from the get-go.
For sure, 100%. You hike to a field and you've got officers on horseback. They're armed. They're shouting directives at you. Day 2 in prison, you don't know what the hell's going on. You're scared. It's really nerve-wracking. You get out here, and if it's August, it's 105 degrees out here in Texas, and it's not air conditioned in the dorm, and so you're already weak. And if you've been in county jail and the air conditioning, you're really weak because of the heat. And you're out here doing field labor, which is really similar to plantation work. Any old plantation movie that you might have seen, that's what this kind of work looked like.
People used to cut their tendons so as to not go out to work in the fields. I got taken from a nice AC job working in a hospital to the fields because I would not falsify documentation backing up their allegations.
Beating up some dude, right?
Yeah, and they'll do that all the time for much minor stuff. I was put in the fields for a lot of stuff. I got put in the fields because I mouthed off at the guard one time because I stepped on the yellow line in the hallway. So they went ahead and put me back in the fields.
Do you guys have any rights as a prisoner?
If a cop rolls up right now and tells you to get down on the ground, I mean, what rights do you have? You do it to get shot.
And this is Bianca Tylek, a Harvard-educated leading expert in the prison industry and founder of the nonprofit Worth Rises, working to dismantle the prison industry and the exploitation of those it touches. But real quick, have you ever gotten in a car crash that wasn't...
Yo.
Millions. If you become Morgan & Morgan's clients, they'll fight to get you the compensation that you deserve. And as America's largest personal injury law firm, they're ready to take on insurance companies of every size. All law crashes, such as
slavery should never.
In Florida, thanks Morgan & Morgan.
Really crazy reporting right now about sheriffs that are using incarcerated people on their own properties. Using the people in his jail to man his own farm.
What?
So we would work anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day. I think they've cut that down to half days now. It was a long day doing very manual labor, doing things like picking potatoes, picking corn, cutting grass with a hoe.
So who is your equivalent of the master? The prison warden? Who did you serve?
Yeah, we served the field boss. We even called him boss. Very culturally similar to plantation days. And you had 2 lead hoes, and we would be at the front of the line, and we would be keeping things organized. We would be keeping the ladies on task, and quite frankly, sometimes even participating in degrading them.
I spent 27 years in prison. Total, I got...
This shit's so fucked up, bro. But at the same time, don't nobody deserve to be slaves, right? Don't nobody deserve to be slaves. But hopefully for some of the white people that were in there that had to do it, hopefully it kind of opens their eyes a little bit to a black history a little bit, since they have to do it. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully that kind of takes their little race, the little racist bullshit they got going on in their head away, just because damn, I got locked up for 3 years, and I had to pick potatoes out of field, and I was still getting fed and stuff like that, when there were slaves that did that their entire life. They're getting whipped and bro. So I don't know. I don't know.
$100, I think, because Texas,
27 years, you earned $100.
Texas doesn't pay. Texas has maybe a few hundred people out of the 140,000 who work in Lockhart. They got a couple of private firms that do pay individuals for working. But if there's 140,000 people, there's 139,800 whatever thousand that don't get a penny.
I see.
No, I never got a penny. I worked 13 years in the fields. I worked as a library clerk in the law library. I worked as a kitchen commissary clerk. I washed pots and pans for 3 months because they got mad at me because I wrote a grievance that was kind of effective. So they transferred me jobs from my job as a library into the kitchen. None of them did I ever get paid.
Were you obligated to work those jobs? Do you have to work in prison like you did?
If there is a job that needs to be done in Texas prisons, they will find somebody to do it, regardless of their qualifications, give you an order to do it, and if you don't do it, for whatever reason, you will get disciplined, you will lose custody in class, you will end up in solitary, and you may end up with more time. Now, having said that, Of course I wanted to work. I don't want to sit around my damn ass all the damn time. But I want to do something that's fulfilling, not necessarily spiritually, right? But something that I learned something from. Yeah. And I think that's most prisoners want that.
32 degrees or below.
That's fair. That's a fair point. That's a very valid point.
Exactly. So we're at the back.
Like, don't have these niggas just sitting here fucking blowing balloons all day, or you know what I'm saying?
Temperature checks on the radio.
Do something where they can learn from it, and whenever they do get out, take it out into the real world to better them.
Thermals. I mean, just in these state
crazy as hell.
That are thin, the air's hitting our
crazy
skin,
as hell.
And we hear on the radio that it's 31
crazy
degrees.
As hell.
And we started
Colin
cheering.
Crazy.
Like, we were
Ugly
really
as
excited to go back. And I remember the boss, the lieutenant, he looked over at the other boss and said, I didn't hear anything, did you? And they rolled that gate, and we came on out here, and we were picking cabbage. It was frozen, and it had been raining, so our boots and bottom of our legs were wet, our socks were wet. They issue these little cotton gloves in the mud. They're not going to stay on your hand. You finally just have to put the gloves down, and we're just picking cabbage, which the people around me, their lips are blue, snot's running down our faces, and frozen. And I remember feeling ice on my eyelashes and thinking, they really don't give a shit about us. You brought up tampons, and so I need to say, working in the field is absolutely insane when you're on your menstrual cycle. Yeah. There's no restroom. They have a porta potty that they carry on a trailer, and tractor pulls it, comes around once every 4 hours. Not everybody gets to use it. So I might be on a squad with 35 other women. They'll say, deuce it up, restroom break. We all line up, the trailer's there. I would remember like waving my tampon in the air because you're trying to show the boss, like, I need to go, like, this is important for me to go, because they're only going to pick 5 or 6.
But is the 13th Amendment that allows for the enslavement of criminals in violation of the 8th Amendment that protects Americans against cruel or unusual punishments?
13th Amendment ended slavery, right? However, there's a clause in there that says, except for someone who's been duly convicted. If you have been convicted in the United States of America, according to the 13th Amendment, you can still be enslaved. So
a lot of people don't realize that. That's the silver lining of the 13th Amendment, right?
Right. A lot of people don't realize that, and it was very likely a result of backroom bargaining between
large corporations. Who has vested interests?
Hold on. Back in the day, it was Abraham Lincoln who wanted the southern states on board, right? But what happened is now these black people who we freed. Now we're going to get them all on the street, and we're going to pass black codes, and we're going to arrest them, and we're going to put them
police them harder, and then we can reincarcerate them.
And reincarcerate them and use their labor now. But now we're not slaves. Now they're prisoners.
Oh, shit. Y'all wasn't listening to that. You got to listen to that. He was talking. You got to listen to that.
Millions of people that were freed during that time. But unfortunately, what happened at that time was also that the institution of slavery moved behind prison walls.
There's quite a few organizations out there that go to prison and say, hey, we'll hire some of your people and we'll pay them $1 an hour or whatever, right? And then they'll go out and sell those goods for whatever they sell them out in the free world, right? And then here's the rub. Once I leave prison, Whole Foods won't employ me.
Why won't they employ you?
Because they have restrictions against people who've been incarcerated working for us.
They'll hire you when you're in prison, but you're no longer viable once you're free.
Exactly.
So the average wage for
That's
somebody
crazy.
who's incarcerated, right, is 14 cents an hour. And in 7 states, it's actually nothing. Majority of states do pay something, but we're talking
North Carolina.
People will work for 2 straight weeks and their checks will be 30. 7 states, it's actually nothing.
Oh, working regular prison jobs. I thought that was just slavery.
About pennies. People will work for 2 straight weeks and their checks will be $30.
Okay.
Right? And with that, they are expected to support themselves in prison. There's a really, really big common misconception, right? That prison is a free ride. Far from it. The cost of communication, the cost of commissary, of food, of hygiene products, of medical copays. These are all things that people in prison actually pay. Sure. In prison, they've recently introduced emails, and people have to buy stamps to send an email. As if this is like a physical, piece of mail that's going like USPS, sure. Right? Like, we are talking about an email at 50 cents an email.
Is it slavery if they compensate you? And if they compensate you, is there a certain amount that qualifies it as, I guess this is some form of employment by the state? What is slavery in your opinion in the context of imprisonment?
Slavery means that you were coerced. daily into eating when they tell you to eat, working when they tell you to work, behaving in a way that is conducive to furthering the aims of the institution. And if you don't do those things, they can have you beaten, they can have your good time taken away, they can have you thrown in solitary.
Is there an argument that you're working to pay the cost of what the taxpayer is paying to keep you in prison after you've committed, let's say, a heinous crime? Is that a reasonable argument, or do you say hell no?
It's not unreasonable.
Okay.
If I'm a taxpayer and you commit a heinous crime, my first thing is I don't want you
Sorry
to do
about
it
that.
again.
Yeah.
And I want to ensure that person who you committed it on, if it was violent, heals. Or it's a system that I have. If they're going to make you work, then okay. But I want you to work or something, or I want you treated in a way that allows you to address whatever trauma or anger, whatever you had, so that you don't hurt anybody else. When I was raped, even now, 40 years later, I have visions of doing some really ugly to these dudes. I understand punishment. I understand the need for revenge, the desire for revenge, but that's not going to help me heal.
Are American prisons designed in such
That's
a way
real.
to
This nigga talking
rehabilitate
that shit.
criminals? Or is it simply a system to punish offenders, traumatizing them further and increasing the likelihood of them reoffending after they're released? Real quick,
I'd be like, go on down the road, you fuck.
if you want to support our boots on the ground independent journalism that is not bought and paid for by corporate interests, along with exclusive .com/Tyler Oliveira for less than $5 a month.
Is internal assault and sexual assault common?
The threat in a female prison for sexual violence is from staff, not from each other.
Different dynamic there a bit.
I think 100%. We had to be wary of who was working. We had to pay attention. If we knew the officers that would creep around the shower area or come around at night, and you knew who not to get into a private nook with or not to make eye contact with. The Prison Rape Elimination Act that's supposed to offer protection, I guess, for incarceration.
Prison Rape Elimination Act.
Yes.
So it must be common enough to where they had to implement an act.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Very common.
That's sad. That's
Day
nasty
one,
as fucking.
you're fighting
That's
people
sad.
multiple times. How does it evolve? Do you get some respect eventually, or is it just fighting nonstop until you build an alliance with someone?
The violence is usually early on, and it's, again, to see what you're going to do, whether you're weak, whether you're going to be a victim.
They're measuring you up.
If you get with a gang or with a clique or with whatever, right, then it may be a little different, because at that point, the gangs may be called out as a group to do some stuff, right? I would fight, I would jump on dudes for looking at me wrong. What the f*** you looking at?
Did you ever end up in solitary confinement?
I'm a disruptor out here, and I was a disruptor in there, and I ended up in solitary confinement lots of times. The first time I went to solitary was for hugging. There was a lady that was crying over her mail. She was sitting on the floor, and I kind of bent down and hugged the top of her shoulders, and they saw it on camera. They came and got me. It was like the SWAT team coming in. Yeah, handcuffed me, marched me to solitary. I was there for 2 months.
2 months you're in solitary.
Yeah.
So that's enough time to have permanent psychological damage, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It was wild in there. Nothing to do but like read graffiti on the wall, and those cells were hugely, disgustingly dirty. Sometimes you would see blood or even feces like on the walls.
Solitary confinement. It's very commonly referred to in the prison system by people who have done time as the hole or the box. Those terms date back to antebellum slavery.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The hole was a literal hole that enslaved people were put in if they disobeyed the rules of their enslaver.
Got it.
Right? No food, darkness, heat. Similarly, the hot box was the same thing, was a box. These are the terms that then migrated into
Hot
the system,
box.
and many don't even
Hot box. What?
Right? No food, darkness, heat. Similarly, the hot box was the same thing.
No. The hot box. I didn't know that. So the hot box. Hold on.
That enslaved people were put in if they disobeyed the rules of back to antebellum slavery.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The hole was a literal hole that enslaved people were put in if they disobeyed the rules of their enslaver.
Got it.
Right? No food, darkness, heat. Similarly, the hot box was the same thing. It was a box. These are the terms.
And we be sitting here talking about, nigga, I'm trying to hot box. Nigga, I'm trying to da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Whole time, like, that's so crazy how a lot of the slang we use comes from that time period, bro. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
That that then migrated into the system and many don't even know are related to antebellum slavery.
The field work you guys are doing loses money, but it still happens. Is the goal just to break your spirit and your will, and when you leave prison to feel like a piece of shit? What is the goal?
Texas is a really punitive state, and I think that this idea that if we just make it as miserable as possible, people won't come back. But
does it work?
Oh, it absolutely does not work, right? Because people are here because they have done something that probably, especially women, resulted of trauma, and they have to work through that and heal, or they're going to get out and still not know how to handle their emotions and handle what they've been through and still go back to their same old ways, and they end up back to prison, and our recidivism rates show that.
Do you think 10 years helped you more than 1 year or 2 years or 5 years in prison would have helped you understand you did a bad thing and you need to stop doing that? Or
I think that after about 12 months inside, I really immersed myself into the prison life. After a year, any thoughts of good things were gone. So no, I think that it doesn't matter. I think that humans are going to survive where they're at. They're going to change to be able to survive. I was the worst version of myself while I was incarcerated.
The American prison system is set up to humiliate, degrade, punish, and minimize. The American prison system is full of individuals who are in fact used as free labor for corporations, for companies, for the state. The Texas prison system, as an example, they have 140,000 people there. The guards turn the keys, hand out the mail, count, maybe drive the buses. Yeah. Everything else is done by incarcerated individuals, right?
All right, the prisoners run the prison.
Yeah.
Again, we're sitting in the city of New York. It costs us over $500,000 a year to incarcerate one person on Rikers Island.
$500K.
Do you know what we could do with $500K?
Do they want you to end back up in the prison system? Do they want you to live a happy, fruitful, bountiful life after prison? Is the goal to set you up for success afterwards?
I think that may be the ideal. Right? I don't think that there is a huge universe of individuals who are plotting to ensure that individuals who have been incarcerated go back to their cage.
Sure.
I don't think that exists. But politicians have done a good job at demonizing anyone who gets in a cage in the first place, right? That they cannot be trusted around your kids. Most prisons you go to now, TDCJ, have maybe one psychologist, if that. They don't have psychology. None. If you've been in an environment where you've been degraded and dehumanized for 10, 12, 14 years, and you get out now, you're expected just to walk on society, you feel useless, you feel worthless. You got 20, 25, 30% of the people who are in jails and prisons have severe mental health issues. It's not helped by being in jail, which means that I don't believe that putting someone in a cage, a literal cage, where they're subject to rape or to kill each other without access to meaningful health, with incredibly deficient way to meet your whatever nutritional needs, all that. In other words, deprivation. I don't think that helps.
Torture.
All that. I don't think none of that helps. If what you want to do is subject them to the most violent brutality you want, then say it. And don't say that what you want is people to be chained and rehabilitated. Me, as someone who put a pistol to somebody's head.
How do you appeal to someone who maybe doesn't even care about these people, but wants a better system, better functioning society? How would you redesign the prison system?
Well, I'm not sure I would redesign the prison system. Okay. I think this system that we have has no redeeming qualities. Zero. And I think we need to reimagine entirely how we want to address harm in our communities.
What are some immediate changes you would make to the prison system?
We're suing for air conditioning, so that's a big one, is stop cooking people alive. People are dying every summer. Texas A&M did a report that showed some cells at 140 degrees in the summer, and I've seen people die from the heat, and I've seen officers fall out from the heat, so that's probably like the immediate thing.
They need to live a dignified life where inequity is crushed, where people feel fulfilled, purpose-driven, and loved, feel connected to the communities and the land that they're on, and that then together in a connected world, we can cure, I'm less likely to cause you harm because I have everything I need and because I'm connected to you as a person. But should I ever cause you harm, that we have the tools between us and in a system to address that harm in a way that doesn't cause or reproduce more harm. Because this system is not producing safety.
60 days in, he got his ass whooped. That white boy whooped his ass. If you know, that white boy whooped his ass.
Shit! All these root causes, right? And one of them is addressing the exception in the 13th Amendment.
At what point do you stop getting second chances?
I don't think any human, I don't care what you do, deserves to be enslaved. I don't care what you did.
So you are anti-slavery regardless of the worst crimes possible you can commit.
Yes, but I also want to say some of these people who, because of decisions they made at a very high level, way distance from the tens of thousands of people who may get killed or poisoned, right, because of some of the stuff that they do, don't get charged with it. I would say that's more heinous than someone who gets out and kills maybe a group of 5.
Yeah, poisoning the food, poisoning the water, destroying the environment.
None of them ever went to jail. None of them ever went to prison. Should they have? In my view, no. I don't think anybody should be in prison.
No one should be sent to prison. No one.
I'm an abolitionist. No.
What should they do?
I'm not saying I don't believe in some sort of separation. Some folks. A lot of time it takes resources, and it takes time, and it takes a willingness to fail. And I understand that given an infinite supply and an infinite, maybe a watch, maybe sort of regulation on the movement, I don't know. So I have to come down on the side of some sort of separation that is not punitive in nature. You need to find a way to allow individuals who are leaving prison to have kind of a ceremony of return and say, you have, quote unquote, paid your debt to society. Go on there, sign up, and say that you do not believe that we should enslave anybody.
Jorge, you're the man, dude. Thank you so much for your time.
You can hit me up on my Linktree. It's www.
Anyways, hold on. Let me hit him with one of these real quick. Bam. Bam. Anyways, though, that's going to be it with that one, bro. As you see it, I didn't know. I before this video, I did not know slavery is part of the Constitution, part of the, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know that was still an active thing going on in America. Whether it's through them being incarcerated or whatnot, but I don't agree with it. 100% don't agree with it. Only for rapists, child molesters, shit like crimes like that. Go work your ass in the field, nigga. You don't deserve to be out. You just don't. You just don't. There's nothing in your brain that should tell you to go and do that. But yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's the world we living in, bro. Just do what you got to do and stay your ass out of jail. But anyways, that's it with that. I'll catch y'all with the next one.